Today's NFL Daily is presented by Manscaped. You can get 20% off and free shipping when you head over to manscaped.com/chat. Use promo code chat if it does not automatically apply at checkout. Today's video is a look at Mel Kiper's top 10 quarterback prospects for the 2022 NFL Draft. We broke down his big board earlier this week, or I should say last week, on the channel. Now we're focused in on his quarterback list. At number 1, Kenny Pickett, the Pitt quarterback. Not a name that I think many of us thought was going to end up being a legitimate option at quarterback 1. He has very much risen up the draft rankings this year. And the things Pickett does well are pretty translatable to the NFL level. He's accurate. He's got good vision in terms of seeing the field, decision-making. Now, Pickett is limited in terms of his physical ability. His arm is not bad, but it's not elite. He's not slow, but he's not a great runner either. I think he's a bit capped from that perspective. But I will give Pickett a ton of credit for how well he has played this season, and he knows what he can, and almost just as importantly, what he cannot do as a quarterback. His production this year for Pitt has been awesome. He has balled out this year. Yes, his hand size is small. Yes, those teams and scouts that focus heavily on the traits side of it won't like him quite as much, but make no mistake, Pickett is a very solid prospect. Does he have the same high ceiling as some others? No, I don't really think so, but his floor, I think, is pretty damned high. That's a question of just how early do you want to take somebody like Pickett in a class that I don't think any of these quarterbacks would have made the top 5 last year. Speaking of 5, I want you guys to share this video with 5 friends right now. If you want us to do more NFL draft videos here as the season begins to wind down, as the end of the year approaches, as the college football season wraps up, if you want more NFL draft videos, help us out by sharing this video right now. Let's go to number 2 on Kiper's list. That is Malik Willis. Now, Willis in many ways is the opposite of Kenny Pickett. A massive arm with great athletic ability. The problem is for Willis, his accuracy and decision-making are inconsistent. Willis is a high-risk but very high-reward prospect. We've seen some of these guys in recent years. Now, Willis's numbers look fine. There are many points watching this Liberty offense I go, I hate it. I don't think Hugh Freeze has done a good job allowing Malik Willis to do what he can as a runner and as a thrower. All of those things are various big-time concerns for me. I like what Willis is able to offer as a runner, as a thrower, at his best. His rushing numbers this year, damn impressive. 755 yards, 1 touchdown, almost 5 yards per carry. The inconsistencies are there. Willis, I truly believe, will need some time to develop and grow and potentially hit that level of potential that he has. But if you want to gamble on the upside, there aren't many quarterbacks better than Malik Willis. So who is the best quarterback prospect in this year's NFL Draft? Is it Malik Willis? Can you pick it? Maybe Matt Corral, who we'll get to in a second. This is the pinned comment on today's video. So if the ad break comes here on YouTube, head down to the comment section and let me know. Go to number 3, Matt Corral. Corral has taken a step forward this year as a passer. He is overall, I think, a bit more consistent and better than what he was last year. And you can make an argument, this is where I have him, at least for now, that Corral is actually QB1 in this year's class. Now, he does not have great size, but he checks off a lot of what teams search for in a quarterback prospect. Got a pretty good arm, good accuracy, mobile as well. He's run the ball a lot more recently. Battled through some injuries and has played pretty damn well overall. I don't think he's the same caliber of prospect as, you can go back to Joe Burrow, as Justin Fields even. So I like what Matt Corral offers. I think he will be boosted by what is pretty objectively a disappointing quarterback class, at least from a scouting perspective. I do wonder just how much he benefits purely from having Lane Kiffin as his play caller. I don't want to say it's full-fledged, this is Jared Goff, Sean McVay, but Corral's made some comments that, he knows where he can go with the football because of the pre-snap stuff that he gets from Kiffin. And that will make him better in the long run, but I don't think he's there quite at this point. Now, in general, NFL teams don't assign 32 first-round grades. That's not how it normally works out. Normally, it's half of that or so. So with that in mind, how many quarterbacks do you think are really worth a first-round pick this season? Is it 1, 0, 2? No wrong answers. Let me know what you guys have to say in the comments section. The number 4 quarterback, according to Mel Kiper, Desmond Ritter. I get some of what Kiper sees here. Ritter's got a strong arm. He's mobile. The numbers look okay at Cincinnati. Here's my issue in the end. We know that Ritter, with the arm and the mobility, can be a quality backup quarterback. What I don't know, though, is if he can be a true starter and a franchise guy. There is definitely a spot for Ritter in the NFL. But the accuracy, not always that great. The decision-making, the under-center ability, we watched the bad snap last week, or 2 weeks ago. All those things just make me wonder if Ritter is that guy. I like him. There is room in the NFL, at minimum, as a high-quality backup. He checks off a lot of those boxes I want in a backup quarterback. I think mobility, by the way, is a big factor. It also allows quarterbacks who need more time to develop the chance to buy time in the pocket and still make plays without just getting sacked. I think that was a big issue for Josh Rosen, for example. So I like Ritter. He is a top 10 quarterback for me. I think QB4 is a little bit high here from Mel Kiper's perspective. I don't think that's a good choice there in terms of having him that high in the prospect rankings. Hopefully, I end up being wrong there. Now, today's show, as I mentioned, is presented by our sponsor, Manscaped. You can get 20% off and free shipping on all their great men's grooming products when you go to manscaped.com/chat. You get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com/chat. If you got to, use promo code CHAT at checkout as well. It should be automatically applied, but sometimes things get a little bit buggy and wonky. I'll put that link in the comments section and in the description. The new Lawnmower 4.0. It's the best men's grooming product out there. Doesn't cut or tug you when you're shaving, but it does help you get a little tug afterwards. So again, try it out, manscaped.com/chat. Let's go to QB5. We'll pick up our pace a little bit here. Sam Howell, his stock has dipped this year, was viewed as QB1, QB2 for some. The running ability has actually looked better this year for Sam Howell, and in many ways reminds me of a lesser Baker Mayfield as a prospect, undersized, good, not like elite arm. I don't think his arm is as good as Baker's is. Can run a little bit, tough player as well. Here is the statistical breakdown for Sam Howell last year versus this year. The completion percentage, yards per attempt, have dipped. He lost 2 of his better players, or his 4 best options, I should say, 2 backs, 2 receivers. That makes some sense. Now, he's boosted himself from a rushing perspective, but Howell is still not quite as good of a passer. He could go back to UNC if he wants. Curious what route he ends up taking. QB6, Phil Jurkovec, who kind of fell off the radar after that wrist injury. He returned, but he is after being expected to miss most of the year. He is a bit of a sleeper prospect. There are some traits here. Got great size, good arm, can move a bit as well. I think another year of college would really benefit Jurkovec, though, even though he could go pro if he wanted to. The COVID rules make it kind of whatever you want to do to an extent at the college football level. I've been impressed in the limited sample size for Jurkovec. I think maybe some more open aerial attack could benefit him from a draft stock perspective. Our next question for you guys. Over or under 3.5 quarterbacks drafted in round 1 this year? Type in O for over or type in U for under. Head down to the comment section. Get those votes in for me. Number 7, I'm glad to see Hendon Hooker on here, although might be a bit high. I liked Hooker dating back to his Virginia Tech days. Thought he had upside, was never really the guy, though. But he has had a massive breakout season for Tennessee. A dynamic dual threat. He has shown growth as a passer this year. And he's made himself a ton of money as well. Now, his production through the air looks pretty damn good. Now, Hooker can come back next year. And I think he probably should go about that route. But kind of like to an extent Desmond Ritter, there's that dual threat ability. Hooker has shown growth as a pure passer this year. He hasn't been asked to run quite as frequently. There's some sacks in there, of course, at the college level that bring down that production, that average. I am intrigued a lot here by Hendon Hooker. I kind of want him to go back, but if you want a backup quarterback in the draft, Hooker could be that guy for you. Number 8, Carson Strong. And there's a lot of, I think, divisiveness within the NFL community about how good Strong is. Big-armed quarterback, a classic pocket passer. That is where he wins. Now, there is some red flags here. The mobility, in terms of being able to run, it's a red flag. I think he's okay with pocket presence. That helps. But the medical of his knee is a major red flag. That's been mentioned many a time by some NFL draft experts out there, like Dane Brewer, for example. Strong will not be for everyone. But if you want a quarterback who can sit back in the pocket and deliver strikes, I think Strong has the upside to be that guy. I think quarterback 8 is way too low for Carson Strong. We mentioned him last year on this channel. I think Strong should be, honestly, if he had flipped Strong and Desmond Ritter outright, I thought it would have been too low for Ritter, but I think Strong's placement was about the correct spot at that point. Now, we will have plenty of NFL draft coverage here for you guys at Chat Sports, and of course, free daily NFL videos. So subscribe today. We are free, and we always will be. Hit that big red button right now. Let's go to number 9, Bailey Zappe. Talk about a big-time breakout year. A transfer from Houston Baptist, the FCS school. Zappe goes to Western Kentucky, and his off-the-charts production has not dipped. Zappe in that air raid offense under Tyson Helton. I mean, look at these numbers. Already past the 4,000-yard mark. This is like Heisman season stats. Zappe's got a few games left in his season. Now, there's still some more competition jumps. There's some just how high is his upside in the end. We'll see on that front. I am intrigued by Zappe. I think he is a true sleeper in this year's draft class. All right, number 10, there are 2 number 10s. Kiper went full coward, I think. Jake Heiner, the Washington transfer who Huskies could use him. Solid arm. He is a bit undersized. I think his weakness is pretty obvious. It is processing / decision-making. There have been games where Heiner did not play well. The Hawaii game, for example, multiple turnovers. Got to be a little bit smarter, a little bit quicker with his decision-making. The upside is there. He should have been the Huskies quarterback, I think, clearly with how well he's played at Fresno State. It's a down quarterback class. That means somebody like Heiner could go a bit earlier than they might normally. I think this beyond the top 5 for me, which includes Carson Strong, it's a muddled mess. Dustin Crum checks in now here at 10B. Dual threat for Kent State, has been a multi-year starter, a solid, if unspectacular, passer for Kent State. He's always done a good job of limiting those mistakes. And it kind of reminds me of Logan Woodside to an extent from that perspective, the other former Matt quarterback, although I think Crum offers you more dual threat ability. Doesn't turn the ball over frequently, doesn't make a massive amount of plays through the air either, although he's pretty damn good on the ground. 20 career touchdowns. He might very well get to 2,000 career college rushing yards with, remember, sacks negating some of those yards on the ground. Crum might get drafted. I like him more as kind of a day 3, someone will probably call him Taysom Hill. I refuse to do so. Day 3 type of backup quarterback. So I don't mind him being here at 10B by Kiper. Now, there are several other potentially good quarterback prospects that Kiper did not include on his list. Before we get to the top 5 I think he left off, let me know in the comments who you think Mel Kiper's hating on right now. We'll go kind of rapid fire on these. Brennan Armstrong from Virginia has shown some growth this year. Jaden Daniels is kind of a lesser, maybe lesser Hendon Hooker, maybe Phil Jurkovec. Decent size. He's skinny, got good height though. Not accurate quite yet, but does offer plenty of arm strength and mobility. Caleb Elby's made some nice plays at Western Michigan. I like Grayson McCall. He's injured right now. I think he goes back to school, but that's a good sleeper name there. Sam Hartman, I hate the Wake offense because the mesh point's stupid with their read option looks, but he's been pretty good this year for an underrated Wake team, or at least under the radar Wake team. If you guys have other NFL draft questions, hit me up on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney.